Welcome to Window on the World. I am Deidra Morris, and today I'll be talking to Kristen Hanna regarding studying abroad. Hi, Kristen. Thanks for joining us today.
Of course. How are you?
I'm great. How about yourself?
I'm doing good.
Good. Well, I've been a classmate of yours for a few years, but for the people out here that are watching the show today, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself and your time here at Missouri Southern?
Of course, Deidra. So I started here at Missouri Southern as a freshman. I played basketball here, and that's how I first started learning about Missouri Southern, even as a junior in high school. I came here and played basketball 2 days actually, rather after I graduated high school. I came here for summer school. Yeah. And so I was here playing basketball for about 2 years. I worked during that time. I've been working at KGCS TV, obviously the station, for a while during my time here. Been doing play-by-play for football and basketball. So I've been involved obviously in the communications department pretty heavily. And after 2 years of playing basketball, I decided that I was not going to do that the next year, and I was going to study abroad.
Wow. So did basketball take a lot of your time, and you thought maybe just doing something different? Or?
I think basketball, just like any other athletic, endeavor and any sport in college, is going to take most of your time. It's a lifestyle. It's work, it's like a job, because you are getting the scholarship and you're getting something that's worthwhile, and that's education. So it's obviously a little bit more than a notion, and you're up at 5 o'clock running miles, lifting weights, going to every practice, every meeting, even team bonding and things like that. You're very much obligated to a team, which was great when I first got here, to learn discipline, time management, and things like that. And I think after playing for 2 years, I had gotten so much from it, and I didn't want to start losing from it, and I thought that taking this time to study abroad and be able to travel and do the things I really like to do was going to be worth it.
Wow. So when you made that decision to study abroad, what were your first steps in getting that journey going?
It was a lot of steps, but to find a place that I felt was credible, and finding a place that would help me whenever I did get abroad, because obviously if you're studying abroad by yourself, being linked to a university is a good thing, or a good thing that you can do to start studying abroad, or you can be linked to an institution where you're studying with other American students. And I decided to go with the institution route because I was going to be able to earn an internship while I was there as well, and I wasn't just going to take classes.
Okay. So when you, so why don't you tell us exactly where you went?
I went to London. Okay. So I was in England, obviously in the UK, and I stayed there for an entire semester. I went on January 17th, and I left St. Louis, where I live. I went to North Carolina, stopped in Charlotte, had a layover, and then went to Heathrow in London.
Wow. And you were there for how long?
I was there for 3.5 months. So I was there till the end of April.
Wow. Okay. So, and how did your family feel about you traveling abroad?
I think that they were excited for me, especially my dad, because he enjoys traveling as well. My mom doesn't really enjoy traveling as much, so it's difficult for somebody who doesn't really enjoy traveling in airports and things like that for them to really understand the joy of it. But she was all in all really supportive when it came down to it. They were both very supportive of my decision to discontinue playing basketball, to do something like this and do something that was going to help progress not only my person, but also progress my career field as well, or being studied in the field of communications. Right.
So was this your first time ever going out of the country?
It was. It was the first time for me to ever go out of the country. So it was quite a leap,
So going over there, did you have any concerns regarding the food or the water or the place you were going to be staying?
I think that I did not allow myself enough time, and I didn't have enough time to be concerned, So I made this decision. I decided to go through with things, and I had to write papers, obviously, and essays in order to be approved to be in the institution and things like that, and I had to get recommendations, and it was a long process. So by the time I got to, January 17th, I was just ready to take off. Right. So once I got there, I think is whenever I started seeing that it wasn't going to be just the easiest, transition from going from being a United States student to being a student of the UK. So while I had concerns because of other people, it was provoked by other people, watch your purse, watch your things, yeah, they have muggings go on there and things like that. But once I got there, all in all, after a couple of weeks, I was very much at ease.
Wow. And so you were telling me a little bit before about Kappa International?
Correct. So Kappa International Institution is the institution I studied with. Basically American students from all over the place, Texas, California, East Coast, some of the places that I met, or some of the places students were from that I met,
Right.
Traveled there, all of us did, in order for us to take classes. And you could take a full load of classes of 12 hours, or you could take 6 hours of classes and 6 hours of internship to make 12 hours for credit.
And I was, as I was doing my research on Kappa, I noticed that in their mission statement, what part of their mission is to challenge and inspire students. Do you feel like that was accomplished? I do.
And I think, obviously, they do that all around the world because they have different campuses in Italy. They have different campuses in Sydney. They even have different campuses in South America. And I just think that once you get on campus with them, they're not only pushing you to understand British culture and acclimate you to British culture, but they're also giving you activities, additive activities actually, where you're able to go out on weekends and take tours or whatever else. And it's not that you're obligated to do so, but it's all paid for. We had a Greenwich boat tour down the Thames, so it was really a good time, and I think that they did what they said they were going to do, obviously.
So you met a lot of students from all over.
Yeah, and I met students, like I said, my flatmates were actually from Rice University in Houston, and I was able to obviously meet a lot of different people and even had a lot of diversity within my flat. One of the girls was studying at Rice, and she was actually from India originally. So I was able to get a lot of acclimation to different cultures just by being a part of Kappa.
Right. So your day there as a student, did it differ any from your day here as a student at MSSU?
Yeah, absolutely. We obviously we walked or took the tube to class. Everybody in the institution lived in different places because there was over 200 students in the institution for the spring semester. So we all lived in different places in London, which was also really nice because we were all able to have our own little homes, in different sections of London. So we met people and we were able to travel to, different parts. I stayed in Earl's Court, but some people were from Camden. So they would have to essentially take the tube to class, but we didn't have class every day because if you had an internship, you would sometimes go from it, going to class one day to going to an internship the next that actually took you through an 8 to 5 days if you were working in an office or working within your field. So that was really awesome because I felt finally I got to step into the life of, I guess, an adult to, be a part of the workforce. So that was an interesting and fun new experience.
And for the viewers at home that are not clear on what a tube is, can you explain that for them, please?
Okay, well, the tube is basically like it's called the Underground Tube is its nickname, and it's been around for a very long time in London, and that's how people get around. So it's essentially like the metro in New York, and I actually had to carry around that tube map that's down there for the first month of being at school because I didn't know where I was going. The tube map is definitely pretty complicated, and all the stops are pretty complicated, but it's a fun time because you're able to ride the tube. You're not having to worry about your car, gas, or whatever else, and you're just able to kind of get on it and go.
So this is how you traveled throughout your time there?
Correct, yeah, in London. You're able to travel not only in London on the tube, but there's different places and different stations where you can actually get on the international rail, so you're able to take that into England, different places.
And so besides your schooling and your studying there, you were also working as well. Would you tell us a little bit about that? Who were you working with?
I was working with the Community Channel, which is a television station that highlights community news. So it's basically like a local PBS station if you think about the United States. And I was helping to produce a small show called My Brilliant Moment. And it was a show that spotlighted the CEOs and heads of different charities, nonprofits, and organizations in London who are doing really great things, and they were getting awarded money from the big lottery fund in order to fund their different projects that they were doing. So I was able to sit down with the contributors, talk to them about what they were doing, why they were doing it, and what kind of started them wanting to be involved in that kind of cause. So I was able to sit down with an editor after and help them and tell them what I wanted edited in as far as content went. and I would correspond with the contributors in order to tell them about when the links were going up on YouTube, when they were actually going out on national TV, because it showed on national TV in the UK, which was a great experience.
Wow. So your work there at the station, did you come back to the United States with a different outlook of your work here at this TV station? Or was there more that you wanted to do, or maybe things that you did there that you want to implement here?
And I think that even more than just gaining skill, it was like gaining confidence and being able to actually put your own show together and say weekly, like, oh wow, you know, like it's going out on Monday and this is really a show that I helped produce, you know? So I think having that kind of confidence helped me to maybe feel more motivated to be able to do more things here and have the kind of space to grow and flourish a little bit more.
Right. That sounds good. So what about the social life? On the weekends, I know you told me before you were able to do a little bit of traveling and visit some other places. So first, tell me all the different places you were able to go visit.
Well, while I was in London, I was able to visit outside of London. I was able to visit Stonehenge and Bath, England. Both very awesome places. Would you like me to go in detail?
Yes,
Okay, awesome.
Yes, please.
So Stonehenge is basically, it's over 5,000 years old, and it's a place where they used to have spiritual kind of rituals and things like that for the native people that were in England at the time. So we got to go there because the stones are from Wales and they're still there. So it's kind of crazy, and it's a mystery because nobody's really sure how it came about. And then Bath, England is where the Romans settled, and they had made different bathhouses on these natural springs that sit in Bath, England. So I was able to go and tour around the baths, and they have different simulations of how it used to be when they were actually there. And then also you got to drink of the mineral water that comes from the spring. So that was kind of cool as well. And then for work, I was able to go to Cardiff, Wales, and I traveled there with my work to highlight contributors that were in Wales, since it was an international television station and encompasses all of the UK. So therefore Wales is a part of the UK. And then along to Europe, I was able to go to Paris. So we went under the Channel, the Thames. So we were able to go to Paris, and that was a great time. And I can go more in depth in a bit. I saw the Eiffel Tower, of course, and ate snails and things that like I never would have thought I would do.
Right.
And then I went to Amsterdam for spring break in the Netherlands, which was really pretty. Lots of canals. People were biking all over the place. Nobody's overweight there. You know, they have very much fresh food, and like things are, you know, they've got a pretty nice little quaint life. And then I went to Barcelona, which is in Spain, and that was a great time. You have beaches, you have mountains. They had this park, Park Güell, and it was built in 1910 by Güell, and it's a beautiful place, a lot of beautiful artwork, and that was a really chill vacation, and I was able to go on the beach and things like that because it was right at the end of my stay, so it was hot and it was warming up. And then I got to also go to Prague in Czech Republic, which I didn't originally think I was going to go there. Those other three places I kind of had planned in my mind before I went, but Prague was really like a spur of the moment thing with one of my flatmates, and it ended up being one of the best trips.
Really?
It was awesome, yeah. And that's where I got my kind of Russian stackable dolls, which are, originally made in Russia, but since it's an Eastern European city, Prague is, they also have them there. And then also the journal that I got. And a lot of their artifacts and like architecture is really old there. They have a bridge called the Charles Bridge that was built in the 1300s, and you can walk over it and cross it, and there's a historic part of Prague, and then there's the new town is what they call it in Prague. And so it was a fun trip, and it's a lot of history that sits within Prague, and so it's a good place to go. And also the first university that was ever established in Eastern Europe is there as well.
So let me ask you, when you went to Paris, did you go to the Locks of Love?
I did. I did. I went to the Lovelock Bridge and was able to take pictures, and I guess now it's gone.
It's gone. Yeah, that's why I was wondering if you were able to make it there before they removed it.
They removed it. Yeah, I was fortunately able to go and see it. Yeah.
Good.
And then so I went there. I also went to the Eiffel Tower. We did a bike tour around Paris, which was honestly one of the best parts of my whole entire trip, even to London, because it's like the best way to see Paris. There's a lot of traffic. You can move through it on a bike, and you're able to see all the different spots, and then you're able to, you know, that night go back to wherever you wanted to go out or have dinner. But you were able to essentially see the entire city.
Wow. So would this be something that you would do again?
Oh, definitely. I think
after
after having gone somewhere like London, where it's just so culturally diverse, there's so many different people, it not only motivates me to travel to Europe, but to travel to all different types of places, the Middle East and Africa, and places like that. And I think also the contributors I had on the show, My Brilliant Moment, really motivated me to travel other places, because a lot of them were from other places and were from either the Middle East or Africa or places like that. So it not only engages me to travel somewhere like Europe or somewhere close in the States, but to just like try new things. And even whenever, like Prague, you don't think it's a trip, it might be a really great trip actually.
So with this studying abroad, would this be something you would suggest to your fellow classmates?
Oh yeah, and I think that studying abroad is the best way for you to get a real taste of a culture without a real expense, because I think a lot of students think it's a very big expense, but to go and have an all-inclusive trip where you're traveling, you're studying, you're being able to, you know, meet new people and things like that, it actually is way less expensive than if you were to just get up and go to a trip, like on a trip to Europe, but you're actually getting more out of it because you're immersed in the culture.
Right. Wow, so your studies there, and you were there for the spring semester of 2015, and so now you're back here and you're working at the station over the summer and in classes, and so you'll be finished
in December.
Okay.
So December I'll be graduated, and my plans are to possibly stay here for a bit, but probably go back home to St. Louis and be with my family for a little bit, because I haven't been at home a lot, and obviously it's like 4.5 hours away.
Right.
So you don't get a lot of time at home.
Right.
And hopefully start freelancing a little bit in television, continue my study of yoga, and just kind of see like where the life takes me, you know?
That sounds good. Now you do have some pictures to share with us, right?
Yeah.
Okay, of your time abroad.
In London. So that is actually currency. In London and all across the UK, they deal in pounds. So the pound is actually quite a bit more strong than the dollar is. So every pound is about $1.20. So you can imagine how it was to spend there.
Yes.
It was quite a bit more expensive. So that was just when I first got over there. This is a picture of Big Ben, which Big Ben clock tower is more what they call it. Big Ben is the actual bell within the clock tower, and that's something I didn't know before I went to London, but they make sure that you know that for sure. All the Englishmen do. And then that's Parliament also with that picture. And then this is, of course, Buckingham Palace. And these are pictures that I took in the first couple of weeks. Obviously, Kappa, like I said, really, really thorough, really great institution. And they took us all the key places, all the places that you would think about when you think about London, and made sure that we got all of that out of our system when we first got there. And again, there's the Big Ben clock tower, and that's me in front of it. So that was the first couple of weekends I was extremely excited beside myself. And then this is kind of a cool little yin and yang that was drawn in the sand on one of the banks, South Bank on the River Thames. And it was by an independent party that was trying to run. And they had their election just a couple of weeks after I left. And it was interesting because he was just basically stating that the UK spends more money on war than they do on feeding people, like homeless people. And while I think that it's a harsh reality, I think it's a reality that's pretty prevalent for many countries, even ours. So I thought it was an interesting message. This is some artwork that I saw at one of the museums. They have a lot of museums in London. A lot of them are completely free, only donation based. And this was at the Tate Modern. So you have the Tate Modern and Tate Britain. And then here is just some food. I think a lot of people talk about English food, and I know they cringe when I tell them I went to London and they're like, how is the food? But London brings, like I said, a lot of culture. So you can have authentic Indian, authentic Chinese, as you see here, whenever you want it. And this was at, I think, 11 o'clock at night. My flatmate and I were just like, let's go get some good Chinese food. So we went to Chinatown, and that is myself in Chinatown. And I took that picture because it was significant. We were there during the Chinese New Year. So that was fun, and we went down there, and that was 2 days before the weekend of the celebration. But once the weekend came, I literally was standing in a mob of people, and I was not able to move. So like that whole entire alley was completely filled with people. It would have been a completely different picture. And there's the currency again, obviously. So yeah, so that was all my time in London, and I have obviously more pictures of whenever I went to other places like Paris and Amsterdam.
Right. And so I know we talked about the last show we did, we talked about my civil rights trip. So I know a lot of things took place over here during the time that you were gone. Were you updated on those things?
I was up to date on those things.
Okay.
I definitely tried to be within the culture, though, and so on the tube I was reading the newspaper that was there. You know what I'm saying? I was reading their newspaper. I was reading the Nightly Star and things like that. But they do have news about the states in their news, and also they had some protests before I got there in January surrounding the movement of Black Lives Matter, Hands Up, Don't Shoot. So I think I found that everybody in England, I don't want to say everybody because it's a broad generalization, but a lot of people are very socially conscious, and they are, they're well versed and they're knowledgeable about what's going on around the world. Okay.
And so the issues that we have here, black, white, is that a big issue over there?
See, that's another thing that was kind of interesting, being a biracial female, is being able to kind of observe the differences between race and the actual construct of race and what we think to be race here. And while we think of black and white as race, it's absolutely a social construct that we've made within our history of slavery and things like that. And while I went to a museum in London, the city of London, it was called the Sugar and Slave Museum. So it talked about their history of slavery as well. But it was quite a different history of slavery. They far more based oppression upon the lack of education. So if somebody was lacking education, then they were being oppressed, whether be it a black man or a white man who's a chimney sweeper or something like that. It's far more about social class than it is about race. So you have a lot of Africans there and Middle Eastern people there, and you have all these different types of people, but really they've never been called black. They don't really understand that. It's far more like, I'm from Africa, so I'm African. I'm from India, so I'm Indian, And there was a time actually after World War II when London and England as a whole opened up its borders to any immigrants that wanted to come over because they had so many men that were actually killed in World War II. So they had to have more people come, and they had to have them, kind of help to flourish the economy after something so horrific happened like World War II. So then at that point, they opened their borders to a lot of people from South America, like I said, people from Africa and from the Middle East. So there was far more of a camaraderie between the different cultures. So I think that I think the history that is held by England as opposed to United States does kind of make for the realities of today.
Sounds good. So is there anything else regarding your trip abroad that you would like to share, that you would like us to know, or any experiences that you had while you were gone?
Well, I think we could take a look at the pictures that we have from the different places that I actually traveled. So this one is a picture of myself with Michael Bowman, who also traveled abroad with the same program, and she actually goes to Missouri Southern, and she's a biology major. So we went to Prague, and we're actually at the top of the city at that point, and we're looking out over the city, and it's beautiful. And then this one is from Amsterdam. Also, these are compilations, so they're kind of mixed up. But this one's from Amsterdam. Ledsbrug is where the part of the town that I stayed in, and then you can see the beautiful canal off in the background. So This is from Notre Dame, rather. So that's from Paris, and it's just a huge stained glass window that's in Notre Dame, the church there, and it's beautiful. And Notre Dame was, I think, built sometime in the 1600s, so a very, very old church. This one's going back to Amsterdam in the Netherlands, and it is the flower market there. And the flower market is one of the things that they're the most well known for. They're very well known for their tulips. And unfortunately, I couldn't bring any, but it was just tulip season whenever I got there. This one's back in Prague with Michael Bowman, and we are standing in front of the John Lennon wall that was, it was built, it was just a wall. At some point, somebody put a spray painted image of John Lennon, and after that, it just got completely out of control, obviously, and people go there to tag their name or whatever else, pictures. This is another picture of Prague, which, like I said, it's quite a bit of a different city than other European cities because it's very colorful and the architecture is far more Middle Eastern. So these colorful houses go for miles, and that's basically the entirety of Prague is colorful, beautiful houses and buildings. And this is Barcelona. So like I said, we had that nice beach. This is the first time I was feeling the sun, honestly. Upon my travels to London and to Europe. And this is Barcelona again. This is my flatmate, Omar, and she studies at Rice. She's originally from Nigeria, and she moved here at 5 with her parents. So that was interesting getting to learn her culture. And this is me at Park Güell, just looking over, and you can kind of see the haze in the backdrop, and that's the beach in Barcelona. This is back in Paris. It's the Thinker, and I never thought I would see the Thinker in person, actually, but I did at the Museum Rodin, so that was an awesome time. This is on our riverboat tour of Paris on the River Seine, and we're about to go under a bridge, and that is, of course, the Eiffel Tower. And that is myself taking a selfie with Mona Lisa, because I had to. We were at the Louvre, and it was amazing. And the Louvre is so big, I think I could probably be there for a week and not see all the art. And this is back in Amsterdam. It's a crosswalk, but it's for bikes, because I told you they cycle so much there that they literally have a crosswalk for bikes that's right parallel to the actual road. So yes, those are all my pictures from travels abroad.
Well, and thank you for sharing those with us. In closing, is there anything you would like to share with us?
No, I mean, I really appreciate sitting down with you, and obviously I've appreciated having class with you and getting to know you. Yeah. And then of course I've appreciated having KGCS TV to start kind of my little career in TV. So it's been a really, really nice time being here, and I look forward to a strong last semester.
Yes, and we wish you the best in your last semester and graduating in December. And thank you so much for your time and for sharing your trip with us. Thank you.
Of course, it's my pleasure.
Thanks. I'm Deidra Morris. Thank you for watching Window on the World. Till next time.